Well, hello, A&E gang, and welcome to another episode of Anything and Everything with Nina Masugu. Say it with me now, the place where every topic gets a seat. And I tell you this all the time, we've got plenty of space. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and be part of our A&E gang. We are also available on Spotify and also on Apple Podcast. So today's topic, guys, I think this is one of the most spoken about topic. Quite a stressful one, okay? It's in all the groups, the guy groups, the girl groups. We talk about this everywhere. We are discussing the pandemic of umjolo, okay? Today we're talking about modern dating. And you'd think that in this day and age, because we've got so many ways to connect, dating would be easier, but it's not the case. So we're diving into the world of modern dating, a world full of swipes, soft launches, situationships, ghosting, and a whole lot of confusion. We're talking about the real frustrations that people are feeling and why so many of them are burnt out and how dating apps might be a curse and a blessing. What it actually means to build something real in a time where everyone is afraid to define anything, right? So whether you're in the apps, off the apps, whether you're in a situationship you can't explain, or actually just straight up tired of it all, today's conversation is just for you. And because I'm not an expert, okay, I got in some help. So if you've been anywhere near the internet in the past few years, especially on Instagram, you've definitely come across this guy, right? He's hilarious, outspoken, and he's been voted Content Creator of the Year more than once, okay? That's right, he is a 3-time award-winning king. You might also recognize him from TV shows like Bromance on Mzansi Magic and SS Fanbase on Supersport. But today, we're not talking content or cameras. We are talking about love, dating, and the real frustrations, okay? My A&E gang, please help me welcome Lei Loco.
Wow, what an intro. I don't think I've ever been introduced like that before.
You must come to the right people, okay?
No, I'm here now. I love that intro.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. If I was to go deeper into that question, I think I'm in a very blessed and calm space.
I like that.
I'm just pouring into things that matter the most to me. So I'm happier and healthier.
Happier and healthier.
Yeah.
I wanted to add that married man because we're gonna talk about that at a later stage.
100%, yeah.
I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. We've both been so busy.
Yeah.
Just pushing like our passions and our hustles. Man. But I guess there's no love lost in in separation due to like work and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that when I reached out to you, like you just came through. Like I thought maybe I was gonna wait like for 3 weeks.
No.
How things get with people
like I
these
said,
days.
I pride myself in showing up.
Yes.
Especially for my people.
Yes.
Like, I always lead interactions with respect and just respecting other people.
Yeah.
And when that's reciprocated to me, I never forget people.
Yes,
So
I love that.
I jump at opportunities to kind of like show up for people in the smallest and biggest way.
Yeah.
So like I said, I pride myself in showing up. There was no way you were gonna wait 3-4 weeks. No.
Well, yeah, you proved me there. And your profile says that you are a self-accredited relationship expert.
Yeah.
And that's why I called you today for this very important topic, right?
Yeah.
How did it get there?
I was actually going through dust, hey? I was seeing flames. I was seeing flames, and I remember it was probably just before lockdown or just when lockdown started.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm terrible at relationships.
Yeah.
But
maybe
I'm
I'm
sure
the
I
problem.
but I'm sure I give good advice, So let me just try my luck. And that's how everything started. Yeah. So I was just like giving random, because of how my responses were. They were really just genuine and just out of shock, really.
Yeah.
But
and it's always so punchy.
Yeah. Can I tell you a secret? I don't know if I've ever said this in public before.
Yeah.
That first Q&A,
yes,
I sent my own questions.
No way.
I sent questions to myself because nobody bothered to partake in my Q&A.
I guess also they didn't know that side of you.
100%.
Yes.
100%, yeah. So I was like, you know what, if nobody's going to send me questions, I'll do this thing myself.
Are you ever afraid that you might give someone advice that doesn't work? Or is it just a matter of take it, don't take it?
I think it's more a matter of take it, don't take it.
Yeah.
Because other than umjolo, like that's just how life is. We give you advice, you use it or you don't use
it. It's like
it.
mentorship.
100%.
You know, just because you're mentoring someone doesn't mean that it's gonna go
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
But I always just try to tread carefully, because in as much as you see all the shocking stuff there, people send like a lot more like deep things. You know,
God.
so sometimes I shy away from certain questions because I can't answer that in 30 seconds.
Yes.
You know, so I got into the habit
So you do get DMs where someone just
100%.
like
100%. So
asks.
I've actually just built a platform.
Yeah.
It's called Umjolo Nkantolo.
Okay.
So
Love that.
that's where I'm going to do more long format stuff where we can actually talk about,
because there's a big need for it. Clearly,
let's talk about the actual issue. You know, there's that Q&A stuff where it's punchy.
Punchy and straight to the point.
Yeah. But I frequently get a lot of like real questions, and I'm like, I'll be doing you a disservice if I
just quickly,
you know what I mean?
Do you ever get stopped, like it's just minding your own business, and
all the
someone
time?
says,
I got stopped on the way here in the garage.
No.
I stopped into the garage to get a Red Bull, and then and the guys at the garage are like, when's season 2 coming out? You know, they love the reality show.
Yes,
so
I think that was dope. I love that. It's quite funny.
And I said no to it.
The reality show.
Yeah, I said no. Initially, when I got approached for it, I said no.
And why was that?
I was not interested in putting my life out like that.
Yes, I get that.
I wasn't. So when we had the first conversation, I said no. We had the second conversation, I said no. The third conversation, I remember the lady I was speaking to said, you know what? They explained what the reality, because to me, they just said reality show.
Yes, we're just following you and your wife. No,
You know? And then they explained, like, look, we want to dive into what guys really go through. You know, like friendships, relationships.
That's actually never a conversation. It's always about the guys.
Yeah, and they said to me, men don't have a voice when it comes to reality shows.
100%.
That's what got me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. Yeah.
And I must say, it was quite interesting for me to watch because I saw a different side of you. We got exposed to Lemmy, the husband.
Yeah.
You know, how strict you are, how protective you are of your wife and your family, which was beautiful to see.
Yeah.
You know, so like thumbs up for that. That was great.
Appreciate it.
So I want us to do what I call hot takes.
Yeah.
Right? Don't overthink it.
Okay.
It's just going to be a true and false.
Okay.
Right? True or false. So the first one. Talking stages are just unpaid internships with emotional labor.
100%. Very true.
You did
Talking
not,
stage.
Yes.
Oh, guys, you guys are just wasting your time there. Hey, what are you doing? Like,
but should people just dive into dating?
so the thing is, I think how people have branded talking stages is the problem. So they feel like it's a get out of jail free card where I can talk to you because we've labeled it a talking stage. I can do it with anybody else.
Oh my God.
It's not I'm exclusive to you because I'm trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
The problem is that now if I've got talking stages with 3 other people, soon as unina angdina, I don't solve the problem, or
there's
I don't
no accountability.
Exactly.
In
I just go give more attention to the next person. Ooh. So I think
God. And in 2025, dating someone consistently for 3 months is basically a long-term relationship.
Sad but true.
Oh my God.
Sad but true. Yeah. Relationships don't last that long these days, hey?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So it's sad, but I think it's true. Yeah.
The person who replies slow always has the power.
100%.
Oh my God.
It's a toxic trait, but I've seen it quite a lot.
Very toxic trait.
It's true.
People aren't afraid of commitment. They are afraid of committing to the wrong person.
False. I think people are afraid of commitment in general.
In general?
Yeah.
Oof, my God. So we're all one text away from getting back to a toxic ex.
100%.
That is so sad.
That's very sad. And I think the sooner we realize it, the sooner we conquer that. Because I went through that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very true.
Is it because we're not trusting, or it's just always better to just go back to the, in Zulu they say go back to into yaziyo? I think it's that.
No. I think it's we know how toxic it is out there. We know how rough it is out there. It's more of the devil you know is the devil. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know type situation. And it goes back to we're afraid of commitment. We've already tried commitment with that toxic ex. And
you know what to expect.
You know what to
anyway.
expect.
You've seen it all.
We're not willing to start over with someone new. But yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. That is bad. Social media killed the meet queue. Now it's just swipe, scroll, settle, and repeat. True or false?
That's true. That's very true.
Jeez, these are hectic, actually.
These, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And someone being emotionally unavailable is just the polite way of saying they don't like you enough.
Oh, that one is a tricky one. There's a certain truth to it, but I would also disagree with it.
Yeah.
Because
And this comes from a lot of men, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I actually do agree. I think, and the reason would actually shock you.
Yeah.
We're emotionally unavailable not solely because we've got traumas, because that's part of the reason, right?
Yes.
But we're also emotionally unavailable because of how superficial women are these days.
You think women are superficial?
100%. I say this very confidently, and I'm not saying every woman is superficial.
Yes.
I feel like you guys have set a certain standard, which is your God-given right to say, okay, this is what I want my man to be. Yeah. The problem is you don't look in the mirror when you set those standards. So you've set a standard for the person you want, but you haven't set a standard for how you're going to treat that person when they come. So that then becomes a problem. So, for example, I want a man who earns X amount and who at least has his own place but you don't tick all those boxes yourself.
Oh my God.
So that then becomes it's a fight for lack of a better term, I'll say honesty. So I would rather be there for a good time and not a long time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't expect those things from me if you don't tick those boxes yourself.
My God. And men are woke these days, hey?
Yeah, no, we've grown to become woke. Okay?
Yeah, you want those things from me. It's like, I had a conversation with a few friends, and the guys were just saying that they don't want, if you want a man with a car, do you have a car? If you want a man with a good job, do you have a good job? Facts. Is that how it is these days?
No, 100%, 100%. And I've lived through that. Like, I say this confidently because I've lived through that. I'm not saying that's how everyone is. We can't literally put that tag on everyone. But I've lived through that, where I've been in relationships where so much was expected of me. Not that I didn't have the ambition to get those things myself.
Yeah.
It's a process. You know, I don't just wake up driving, the car that I drive today. I don't wake up earning what I earn today.
You have the job you have 100%, or whatever.
So it's a process. So when somebody doesn't cultivate into that ambition, then that's where you disconnect as a man. You're like, okay.
Are you ever able to reconnect again once you've disconnected as a man? Because
I
don't think so. I'm not a gent, but I don't think so.
No. It's like, if I was to put it in context of women, right?
Yeah.
There's this thing you guys always say that once you see the loser in a man, you never go back. That's us seeing the loser in a woman.
Never.
That's how we can't go back. Because because if you've got those standards for me, what's to say that when the next guy comes who's got all those things, you won't ditch me for them?
Oh yeah.
So once we see that in you, I guess it's shy. That's why we then decide to be here for a good time and not a long time.
Oh my! I just wish, but men don't communicate that.
We don't. We've never been taught to communicate.
Yeah.
We've never been raised to be communicators. We're doers. We're not talkers.
You are doers.
Yeah. So we'd rather do, and I think that's why it's so special when you find the one.
Yes.
Because the one then men value love, right? Mm-hmm. And we know that we value respect more.
You do.
But what we value the most is being understood.
Okay.
So if you understand me, then it's better because I can do what I have to do for us.
Yes.
Because I know whenever you ask me questions, it comes from a place of trying to understand, not questioning what I'm doing. So I will know that about you, that, you know what, if you're saying, no, babe, but do you think that's wise? Why don't you try this and that? Then I'm more open to explaining it, to say, no, babe, listen, I think this will work. Even if I don't explain it 150%, yes, you always get to a point where you trust me because you understand me.
But do men hate explaining themselves?
We love explaining. We love explaining. Yesterday, my wife told me, she sent me a TikTok about where they were talking about how men love over-explaining, right?
Yes.
We love it.
Yeah.
Especially to our partners. About the most random things.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my wife was telling me, like, yeah, you do this a lot, especially about football.
Yeah, and you just want to go
I go so deep into things that I'm passionate about, whether it's business, and I'll explain and I'll vent and I'll do this. We love it. When we don't do it, it's because we're not with the right person.
So it takes the right person to take it out.
It really takes the right person. Yeah.
Got you. The relationship only works when the guy likes the girl more.
I think that's false. Even the other way around.
Okay.
Even if you say the guy must like the girl more or the girl
But
must
in this day and age, Lemmy.
no, it really doesn't because you're talking about lack of reciprocation now.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
if I love you more, it means I'm pouring so much into you that I'm barely even getting the same
The
energy
same,
from
yeah,
you. So
yeah. But you don't think that's
I
the
don't
case?
think it's healthy. I don't even think it's healthy.
Oh, that's a bit of a hectic one there. And people these days want soulmate results with sneaky link effort.
100%.
Sad.
100%.
Very sad.
I think sneaky link has basically become like the norm now.
Ingdina
Yes.
Leonto. Oh my God. Ooh, like, oh my God. I also think that sneaky linking is just, you need to get over it at some point in your life.
Guys, I don't
If
know
you
what.
do it,
Yeah.
you can't do it forever. Like,
Also, why are we sneaky linking? Because from what I understand,
why are we
a,
sneaky linking?
a sneaky link is like somebody that you don't want people to know about,
yes,
right?
yes.
But why? The question is why? Because in more cases, more often than not, you both are not in relationships.
No cheating, yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
So if we're both not in a relationship, why are we sneaky linking?
Because it's a link and it's sneaky.
Why?
And something that must be sneaky must be in secret.
Why must it be sneaky linking? Why are we sneaky linking?
Because I think people these days just don't want to commit. You know, they don't want a lot of effort. Because a sneaky link, let's define a sneaky link. Right?
Yeah. I think let's start there.
Yes, let's start there. A sneaky link, in my opinion, is someone that, you know, you just snack on every now and again.
Yeah.
You know, no effort is required, no dinners, like nothing hectic is required.
But to okay, I hope you guys are gonna cut that out, but you can bleep that. But to like, well, let's just call it what it is.
I think
we're not sneaky linking.
Yeah,
because if you're not in a relationship, I'm not in a relationship. The first thing that confuses me is that why are we hiding it? Yes, we're not in a relationship. We can agree to say, yeah,
yes,
we can agree with okay, us Jolie, right? Well, maybe you're not in the right place. I'm not in the right place.
Yes.
But we kind of enjoy each other's company.
Like
we just enjoy Leo Pichi too.
Yes.
But why are we hiding it?
Ooh.
Why are we hiding? Because that's why once we start being sneaky links, that means there's somebody else on your side, or there's somebody else on my side.
Someone is not telling the truth.
Yeah, I know. That's why I need to guys. Let's just call it what it is.
This one, ghosting is just dating's version of saying we regret to inform you.
100%.
There's nothing I hate more than ghosting.
Yeah. Ghosting is
just speak up.
No, but sometimes you have to ghost people. You have to. There's no other way to get away from them.
Give me one good reason why you would ghost the person.
So I'll give you a personal experience.
Yes.
So there was a time I had a thing with this lady, and it was too invasive. I don't know if that's the right word, but like you're all like we agreed. Uguti Asholi, right? We are sneaky linky.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, when you've got free time, you want to be in my face. When I'm out somewhere, you show up unannounced. You know what I mean? Now I have to ghost you. You know what I mean? Because now when I say, hey, dude, look, no, I'm busy this weekend, you're forcing yourself on me, or whatever. Sometimes you have to ghost them, man. I'm not saying it's right.
It's right, yeah.
I'm not saying it because obviously we'd rather just communicate to say, look, dude, this is not working out or whatever it is. Sometimes people just don't want to hear it.
But then, do you think, especially coming from guys, do you think guys ghost women just to keep the door open so that they can come back anytime?
100%. Yeah, because if you, it's easier to lie when you've ghosted the person.
I was going through something. I was afraid to talk about
my grandpastor. We 20 years ago. But when I say I'm Vusa in a week.
Yeah, I was just not in a good space.
It's definitely to keep the door open. Because you can always throw
come in.
Hey stranger there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ghosting. We're all guilty of it, man.
Oh my God. So distasteful. So the phrase, let's just see where it goes, is a modern code for I'm not planning anything serious with you.
100%.
My God.
100%. Yeah. Because I'm breadcrumbing you. You know what I mean? I'm giving you just enough to stay,
Yes.
but not enough to see a future.
And it's just in case I find something better. Mara, most.
More often than not, you've already found something better. It's just not going your way. So I'm with you, but somebody here is giving me more than what you're giving, but I really want to be with you. You're breadcrumbing me, I'm breadcrumbing her.
It's so hectic.
So more often than not, you already know where you want to be. It's just that this one is readily available.
Lastly, men always know the girl they want.
100%.
Do they know this from the get-go?
From the jump.
But
But when I say from the jump, I'm not saying day one.
Yeah.
And then I already know.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying from in the first week, in the first month, I already know. It's okay. Here, I would definitely go down on one knee here. Yeah. We know, in as much as I do believe that women also have an idea. I think you guys, I think you guys are a little bit more gullible than we are because we're better at pretending to be the right one. You know, I can come there with the energy and the gifts.
And also, you know what type of people I like. I'm sure you approach me
100%.
knowing. So
100%.
you'll be what I actually want.
Yeah.
You can't pretend to be that.
So for us, we definitely know. Also because I don't think women realize that men really don't have standards. We don't consider dating up or dating down.
Whether if you like a girl, you like a girl.
You're an accountant, you're a doctor. We actually don't care. When we tell our boys, hey, I've met this girl, Nina. The first thing you women would ask if your friend came is, oh, what does he do? Where does he stay? What is he doing getting up?
Also,
exactly. Yeah. For guys, it's like, oh, uplomava. Like it's generic questions.
But question.
Yeah.
Men do care about a woman's past, don't you? Or does it if maybe Joburg is quite tiny, right? And like, for example, maybe the entertainment industry is tiny.
Yeah.
Does it matter if you approach a Nina and Nina has been with maybe one of your friends in the past or people that you are in your circle? Does it matter?
It does. And it's more of a pride thing.
I see.
It's not anything that actually matters. It's more of a pride thing. Like if I meet a Nina, Nina has been with my boy, I'm more concerned about abantu bazothini. Like now I'm taking scraps from my boy.
Does it affect your decision in wanting to be with
100%.
Me?
100%. I've got a close female friend who, dated somebody.
Yeah.
And that person really played her. Then she met somebody else, but that new person was a colleague to the old person and she really didn't care. But I had to tell her from the bat, I'm like, that relationship is not going to work out solely because these two are colleagues.
Oh.
So it's going to affect the new guy's decision making solely because of pride, Uguti. Because now the ex, we feel like your ex, if I know your ex or if Nyazi Ndabazak, they've got a one up on me. You know what I mean? Like
Is that how men think?
Yeah. I feel it feels very like you've touched something that's dear to me, even though I wasn't there.
Yes.
Even though I wasn't there. So it's like,
because in your mind you actually want to think that what am I trying to say? In your mind you want to think that you are the only guy I've ever been with.
100%.
In my adulthood.
Even though we know that's not the reality. But that's like our ideal perception of you.
Yes.
So you have to also remember that amadoda nokudelelan. So if
exactly. Also, yes.
So now if say I'm with you and you're with me genuinely out of the fact that you like me and vice versa.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not doing so well, but you don't care about that. The person that you've been with is doing much better than me.
Yes.
It's easy for you na utangdelela athi uchola na le parre. You know what I mean? When it starts
being a man is tough.
When it starts getting around, I start feeling the disrespect. You did nothing wrong. But because of now how I start looking to my male counterparts, it starts ruining our relationship. So that's why I'm saying it's not, your past doesn't matter in a sense of Guti. It really does. It's that important. It matters because it could stroke our ego and our pride the wrong way. And then that's where we kind of quote unquote self-sabotage.
Oh, that's such a real thing. Okay, interesting start. I want to know, speaking of dating apps, right? If you met your wife today on a dating app, what would your bio say? On Tinder, for example.
Sure. Hey, me, I used to be a scammer, hey?
It's so honest.
it would say something very scammy. Hey,
Like?
like romantic guy, lover of outdoors.
Yeah.
I'd sell the best parts of myself, but I'd oversell them.
Okay.
Yeah. Me, I used to be a scammer, guys. So
Were you in sales? At
yeah, I
some
was
point?
at some point. Yeah, I was.
No wonder. It's like, because you can,
Yeah. I think that would say, if I was to be like very honest,
Yeah.
my bio on a dating app would just say, yo, sobona ukuthi senzani, sobona phambili.
I'm trying to think, what would my bio say?
Yeah.
I'm hot girl vibes. I don't know. I don't know.
Would you be very honest on your bio, or would you also sell the best versions of yourself?
I'm very good at selling the best version of
Yeah, but
I will sell
and
it
that's
like
what we do.
I will sell a paper like
Yeah.
you've never seen paper in your life, okay? But look, I have never been on a dating app. Even though at some point in my life I was like, I think I must try it out. But like nyasaba, like
No,
nyasaba, guys.
it's a scam, guys. I think social
but people
media
do
itself.
meet people online.
They
Lenny.
do. I met my wife online, not on a dating app, but on social media. But
You saw her first online.
yeah. Actually, it's a funny story because she shot her shot. And
Oh, good for her.
Hey.
Shout out to her. Because look at where you
Hey,
guys
here we are
today.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think social media is just one big dating app.
Just a dating app.
Honest, like guys see girls on social media and they like and they slide in DMs and vice versa. That's a dating app. It's just
I'm such an old school girly, ne? I mean, I'm not that old. But yes, I still like the old school way of
that's the only way to do it,
like,
guys. That's one of the best ways to do it.
It's okay. Like I'm still all about that, and I don't like DMs, because I feel like my social media is also kind of curated. Like, I mean, our social
course.
yes,
Yeah.
I put up things that I want people to see, and the reason why I don't like dating people that I find online is because they want me to be Nina Masugu Instagram. No.
100%.
Ngukabo Nina in my house. I'm still a
100%.
normal girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably maybe speak a little different. I'm not saying that I'm different to who I am online.
Yeah.
But then you meet someone and they want you to be that filtered girl.
Facts.
And I'm not that.
It's a whole cycle of lust.
It is a cycle
Because
of lust.
I fall in love with what I see and not what I know. So I see, okay, Nina is like, I mean,
I think, Lemmy, you know what works? The sooner we meet up after DMing each other, the better.
No.
Because this thing of having an online relationship will also just mess you up.
Of course.
You've been talking for 2 months. Why didn't I meet?
Of course. Mina ngithi first date, guys.
Yeah.
First and second date,
Yeah.
take each other around your friends. If you want to know who someone really is, put them in their most safest space with their friends. You'll see who they are. You'll see if they're the loser of the group, if they're the bully of the group.
And what if you chose too soon?
Exactly. Yabonage. Hey, sheshewa ke. Takati special success. Hey, sheshewa tenga.
I have had that, hey.
It happens.
Where you just meet the boys and I'm
It
like,
happens.
oh, I actually was going to go for that
But
one.
you see, the problem is you may have not met the hottest one, but you may have met the realest one. Because this kimini
and the right one.
and the right one. More often than not, the one who's always the catch is always the most toxic. That's the one that's always the most, even in a group of girls, if the one who's the baddie, the baddest of all of you guys, is always, hey, how long are you I no ways.
So you and your wife met online, started talking, and you hit things off.
Yeah. So from what she tells me, she followed me because I used to talk a whole lot of smack online, like I do now on Instagram.
Yeah.
But it used to be on Twitter a lot. And she was just like, you were just some funny guy, that I developed a crush on. We spoke, and then it didn't work out. I think we didn't see each other for like a year or 2 years. Then we started talking again after a year or 2 years, and then it kind of led to, okay, let's link up. And then, and then it developed from there. So it's not like we had an online relationship.
Okay.
We just knew each other from social media.
Yeah.
And then we took it offline. Yeah.
What is your biggest dating ick today that didn't exist back then?
The standards. I think the indoor must trend. I think that's the biggest ick because I feel, and I can only speak from a man's perspective.
Yeah,
I can't speak on behalf of women, right? But I think the biggest thing that men struggle with now is living up to standards that they're clearly working on, but it's like when you meet someone new, they want you to have all of that now. Like, naturally, I'll take myself for an example. Naturally, I feel like I've always been like a provider kind of person. I want to take care of my partner, but I've never been always able to.
Yes.
You know, today
Even
my
though
wife
you wanted to.
Yeah. Today my wife is a stay-at-home wife because we're happy with that. Like we're
Yes.
comfortable with
Yes,
that.
and
She's
that's what
happy,
you
I'm
guys
happy.
want,
I'm
yeah.
not forcing her to stay at home, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And even before we got married, she was a stay-at-home girlfriend. You know, even though I was bashing people for being stay-at-home girlfriends, you know. Sorry guys,
Yeah.
you know. But I just love taking care of her. But I worked to a point where I could.
Yes.
It's not that I was always able to. There's a lot of men who would have no problem with doing that. It's just that they can't afford to do it now. They're still working to. I have to be the best version of myself to me before I can
First.
be the best version of myself to you.
100%, yeah.
You know, so I think the unrealistic demands is the biggest ick for me.
And you said that earlier. Do you think that men also have unrealistic demands?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Because I mean, men want us to look a certain way.
No, of course. Of course.
You know, dress a certain way.
Of course.
And I think maybe women are also just feeling like, okay, if a man wants this, then I also want that.
Which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair.
Which is fair. Yeah, I mean, reciprocation. You know, I feel social media ruined everything. You know, because remember, like you're saying, like you like the old school way of meeting someone, right? Somebody could meet you walking with spaza, and they would fall in love with that, Nina.
Yes.
They don't fall in love with the best version of yourself that you've put online.
Yeah.
So I think now that we're in a place where we're constantly like, I'll always use myself as an example, right? If you go through my social media, you don't see my family, you don't see my achievements, you don't see what I drive, where I live, whatever. You just see me, because I think that's who I want to put out.
Yes.
I want to put out the Lemmy that talks a lot of smack, that just loves talking jokes, right?
Yeah.
So if ever I was in a world where I was single, that's what I want you to see. I want you to fall in love with, oh, this guy is so funny. You know, jokes and strokes, guys. Jokes and strokes.
Jokes and strokes.
You know?
Yeah.
So I want you to fall in love with Ulemi because he's funny and he's smart, and you know what I mean? I don't want you to fall in love because, oh, Ulemi driver.
Yeah. Rather just get there and
even now, like,
because we like that as women.
You I think men don't tap into that enough.
We do.
We try too hard. Sometimes not we are to blame, because we try too hard to impress with materialistic stuff.
Yes.
I mean, can we really blame women for now saying, okay, oh, that should now be a standard? You know, I mean, we're also at fault for those things.
But what do you think drove, in your opinion, obviously, from a man's perspective, what do you think drove us there to be like indoor must? Do you think it's like, again, the standards online, where we're seeing like people have been dating for 2 months, but I'm telling you,
indlala. I think indlala. Abafazi abanamali. Guys, you guys are poor. Hey, you guys are poor. You are poor.
You think it's that?
I promise you. And I know it's funny when I say it, right? But a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, right?
Yeah.
I think there's very few women who are ambitious enough to say, you know what, I'm going to chase my dream. Like, they're goal driven because they just want to achieve their goals.
For themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not saying women like that don't, there's a lot. But if we're going to talk in the scale of every woman, the percentage is very low.
Yeah.
It's easier for a woman to get a man to do it.
Yes.
You know, so it's easier for you to get. We can't just wake up and look good and get a sugar mama. You know what I mean?
No.
It's less likely. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very less likely. There are men who live off of rich women, you know. But it's easier for a woman to look good and bag a rich man than it is for a man to look good and bag a rich woman. So in a world where the unemployment rate is high, the opportunities are very low, you know what I mean? Like, what easier way than just to get a rich man? You know, you guys can marry, the chances of you guys marrying rich are much higher than us marrying rich.
Very high.
You know what I mean? So if I was a woman, I'd do it.
But it's also because with us, we can be whatever is required of us at the time.
Facts.
Like we can be, if Lemmy likes a very like a girl uthanda ukupheka endlini,
Yeah, yeah.
uthanda ukucleana.
Yeah.
Trust me, I can adjust myself.
Facts.
For you.
Facts.
And then maybe I meet a guy that requires me to be something else. It's possible. But obviously siyakhathala, right? Because we are also just naturally born like we just love taking care of
Facts.
people that we love. And it'll always show. You know, if a girl likes you, you will see, trust
Facts.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
You will see. And uzoyibona nelemi ungana next.
Yeah.
You know, you'd wonder, why does this girl treat me the way? Because we are just genuinely, you know, born to we're just nurturers. We just want to take care of what we like, whether you have the money or not. Well, for some, I can't speak for.
True. Yeah, yeah.
You know, a lot of people.
It's it's very interesting because, like I say, I think the standards are set because of economical circumstances.
But I also think, right,
Yeah.
and I'll speak for my girlies here,
Yeah.
is that maybe the narrative of Indodamas is also driven by how men are just failing us emotionally.
Ooh.
Like
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, like men are just failing us emotionally where I'm dating Elemi, you know, and I just want you to love me. Because as much as men say we are complicated, we actually the most simplest. No, Elim. And my girls will agree.
Yo.
We are so simple, right? We just stay consistent, man, and just love me right.
But it's hard to be consistent. I don't think we talk about that enough. Let me put it this way.
But maybe consistent in what is what we need to. Because
I'm talking about emotional.
Yes.
So I'm gonna in as much as you're talking for the girlies, I'm gonna defend the boys.
Yeah.
Here,
yeah.
We first and foremost, we're not taught to be in touch with our emotions. So it's hard we have to in learning to be a man, we also have to learn to tap into our emotional side, right? Even then, even when I do figure it out, I can't give you all of that. Naminje, my wife, I'm vulnerable with my wife, yes, but maybe 5%. The 5% is all you need to see. Because once ngaba...
Why won't you 10 yonke or 100 yonke?
Because as a husband right now and as a father, even as a boyfriend just leading us to where we want to go, right?
Yeah.
I have to always, that's what reassurance is.
Yeah.
You guys have an idea that reassurance is, oh, baby, we'll be cool and whatever. In reassurance also comes in action. And that action is being that, okay, if I'm showing you that we can do this, we'll get through this, it's easier for you to believe me, right? Instead of you coming home and you're saying, what I'm depressed. Yes, I mean, it's not healthy for us to hide when we are feeling down and depressed.
But you say that
if that's the environment I create, I'm not reassuring you. So we often then choose to hide certain things because it doesn't do anything for you. And also, ayikintozoyenza. You know what I mean?
But
There's
it's
nothing
not about that.
No,
and I've heard that so many times. You know, men don't want to communicate with women because they feel like uzoyenza njani. Like we believe, and it's just the woman thing. We believe that I know by the time I go to my friend and talk about a problem, but I feel better talking about it.
Facts.
And I think that's an ask we have in relationships where there's nothing I can do about your situation at work. Like there's nothing, absolutely nothing that I can do about your frustrations in your business and all of those things. But women pride themselves in being a safe space for our men, you know, especially in the day we live in.
Facts.
Men are committing suicide because they are depressed. And also because our generation, right? Our generation, like I'm a Gen Z, we are also trying to create something we don't know because our parents were not like that, right? Our parents were ubaba uyasebenza umama uyapheka endlini discuss izinto eziningi discuss ama-finance babilanga lakho belinjani. We don't know that, so we are also just trying to do something we don't know. But in the day and age, women, I really believe that we are just making a lot of effort to be a safe space for our men.
True.
You know, because I would really be heartbroken to know that my man was depressed, and I did not know.
And we're wrong for that. We're wrong for we do that quite a lot. I still do it to this day, where things maybe are not
where do
going
you offload?
great. Yeah. I'll tell you, like I'm saying, offloading I'm by 5%. you know. But
then the rest you hold on to.
yeah, and it's not healthy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's justified, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very, very unhealthy. It's very wrong. But from where we're coming from, it's also a form of protecting you, you know, because I don't want you now to stress. Because sometimes linking ale inkulu, but it's very temporary. It's very short term, and you might latch onto it a little too hard. You know, if I come to you and I say, "Yo, babe, I can't pay the cars and I can't pay the house," and I angna plan. At the moment, angna plan. Do you know what drives? It takes so much to drive a man to that point. If I come to you and I say that, just know what we're done. We're done. Yeah, we're done.
But what if I can help you come up with a plan?
More often than not, you probably can. More often than not, you probably can. I think it's a little toxic from the man's side in the sense of, okay, maybe we should be opening up more in terms of our problems.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it's just our male instinct also, protective instinct.
Yeah. Do you think that you feel like it takes away from your manhood for you to be honest with me as your partner to say, I'm struggling? Do you think that I will look at you a different way as a man?
I know some gents won't agree with me saying this, but I think it's absolutely true.
Okay.
I think to a certain extent, we're afraid of losing that image you have of us, of like, this is my man and I know he'll pull through for us.
If only you guys knew, yes.
Yo, we're scared to lose that. We're scared to lose that. I don't think we talk about it enough. I don't think maybe toxic masculinity is the term, but it is a very toxic way of going about things, because it's not even an image thing. It's, I don't want you to lose trust in me, no matter what we're going through. As your man, no matter how down and out I am, no matter what,
you still want me to see, this is my man. I know he'll make a plan. I know he'll come through for us.
Yes.
Because
the more you believe in me, is the more I'll never give up.
But we don't, and I think this is what men don't know, right? As women, once I will never stop seeing the man in my man because of a situation. Because it's in jalo. Like trust me. Because once we have made a decision that, I mean, if I can love you broke, because I have decided that this is my man, and we can have social media standards, but sindota komas yazumthanda ubhuti angana moto asazami umthanda umuntu have, because we can do that, right? And whether if you can maybe like so right in life and then you find and you go through problems, because I love you and I made a decision, we must make a decision. I'll never stop seeing the man in you. Because remember, we are nurturers, right? And my job is to say, baby, get up and try again. That's what our job is, right? Like, and that's why God created Eve. Because there's no way, I mean, a rib is something so, like, this, you need a rib, you know. So I wish men knew how.
Yeah, because we don't know that side of you guys. Yes, we might, because, you know, as you're saying this, I remember I joke with my wife a lot and say, "Yo, baby, if we go pro kungang," and she always says the same thing. Like, dude, I was there before all of this, you know. Like, she used to bring me noodles because I was that broke. Like, she'd steal noodles and Abambi takes 2 taxis to come to my house and bring food. And years later, when things became grand and she's a stay-at-home wife and, you know, she doesn't have to worry about her car payment or whatever.
And let me tell you, now this phase of where you guys are is where she sees that if you were to be a billionaire tomorrow, she would, like, because we look at that, right? I dated a guy years ago who worked at a car dealership. I'm barely getting by. But he would make sure that I have my favorite meal, my favorite wine. And I knew, I'm going to be the happiest girl on earth. Because we appreciate effort. Because you can date a guy, Lemmy, who's got all the money in the world, but doesn't pay attention to you, the fact that you like, you know, because we love really thoughtful men. Oh, baby, and I saw this and I thought of you. We love that as women, right? So, and we also know how hard it is to get what I have. So especially in this day and age. So for her to say, babe, I was here before all of this.
Yeah.
She knows that, like, manje kusukuthi ngishiye lona, then is that over? That's also just another headache.
True.
True, and I think then this is then where we maybe lose good relationships because we don't have these conversations in our relationships where I do want to be your safe space as your partner, because that's how also God created. We naturally, like, we're born to be nurturers. I would hate, I say till this day, right? I would hate it because also for you to say that that's you deciding I might not have the capacity. Do you know what I mean?
That's unfair on you.
It's unfair on me because you don't know that when you're holding on to a problem, you don't know how I can carry you, And I feel like also relationships, it's a two-way street. Sasa, I'm up, you're down. Then tomorrow it's the other way around, And it's unfair that men feel like they have to be constantly there.
Yeah.
The warriors in this thing.
It's not
and that's
healthy,
why men are depressed then.
True. That I must admit that to a certain extent, we are the cause of our own depression, in the sense that, like, yes, we know we have to communicate, but it's not easy for us. We know it's not healthy to hold things in, but it's not easy for us to.
Then you've got big jobs as fathers, hey?
And then there's being a dad on top of that. I'm in a situation where my firstborn child is not from my marriage, and he's turning 12.
Yeah.
So his mom is not really present. Well, not present, but like financially, So I have to protect him from that, but also find a way to let him know the reality of the situation, because he can't grow up, oblivious to his reality.
Yeah.
Because I'm just setting him up for disappointment. There's those certain things that we then have to kind of like find a way to navigate. At the same time, still, I have to acknowledge the fact that, okay, my partner also feels like there's certain limitations to her being involved in certain things when it comes to this specific child.
Yeah.
Because yes, I'm your mom in terms of like our household, but she knows that I'm not here to replace your mother.
Yes.
You still need to have a relationship with your mom, and there's still being a dad. The way there's constant things that, you're juggling, being a provider, being a husband, being a father, and that's why Amajita then becomes so important, because some of the things that I vent to the boys about,
you won't say in the house.
I won't say in the house, because I feel like, whether I'm wrong or right, I feel like I'm protecting you guys from certain things and certain situations, or I don't want you to worry about. Do
you guys have honest conversations as men in
with
your
boys?
groups?
Yeah, we do.
And
not as
real?
a group. Sometimes it's
you
not
have that
as a
one
group.
friend.
Yeah, sometimes you just have that one friend or a couple.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're lucky enough, it's a whole group. But we do have honest conversations. It's just that our conversations is, I feel like, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like men really give each other the chance to just talk. If you bring up an issue, right? As a guy, whether it be in your friend group or ni two, ni three, we could spend sort of an hour just kind of like dissecting that on this thing, where I feel like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like with women, it's like, oh, friend, really in. It then quickly diverts into either somebody else's problem or, oh, I've been through that, and I don't feel like...
Look, it depends on the friendships.
I guess, right? For us, I feel like I appreciate the fact that we can sit there, even though we might not have answers for you. We might chop about it and, throw in our 2 cents in. Immediately after that conversation, we move on to the next thing, but not having left anything out of that conversation. We might not have the answers for you. We might not have the solution. And I think we know our boundaries very well, because your partner may have done something wrong.
Yeah.
But we won't take your side. It's like, we'll hear you out and be like, yo, that's not right. But we won't not go like, no.
You won't be biased.
Yeah, we won't be biased.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that. I think it's very important. Even if we link up with the guys and not even talk about it, sometimes we're just there to kind of like unwind, because, okay, cool. I have to also try to give the best version of myself in clean. So let me unwind Namachita a couple of hours or whatever, go back home, feeling a little bit rejuvenated. This can carry me, for the next 3-4 months. Just that one little downtime with the boys can carry me for another 3-4 months, So, I think we are, to a certain extent, the cause of our own stress
I
and
think so
depression
too.
sometimes. Yeah.
Like so, when you're talking about your son from your previous relationship or a relationship before, what is it about men and not wanting to date women with kids? Because I think it's unfair.
It really is. It
Because
really is.
I take you with whatever you come
Yeah,
with.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It really,
why don't men want to date
it really
women with
is,
kids?
and I'm not gonna lie to you. As unfair as it is, for men, it makes sense. It's got a little bit of misogyny to it, I'll admit. But the essence of it, from a guy's perspective, right, is yes, angifuna ukukhulisa umntwana wenye indoda, right? But it's more a man-to-man thing. It's
Okay.
not really about you. I don't want to deal with the man. It's not that I don't want to deal with the child.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's not that I don't want to deal with you being a mom.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with the man, you know?
Oh, it's not that you want to deal with me being a mom.
Yes.
The
No,
fact that
I don't think the issue we've got is you as a mother. The issue that we've got is the encounter I might have nalo baba lo mntwana. You know?
and phone.
No, because I know before my son came to live with me, I had the same thing, but remember, I was the baby daddy now. You know, I'm the father of the child. You know, fortunately, to this day, I've got a great relationship with my. I don't like calling her baby mama. I'll call her my co-parent.
Yes.
I've got a great relationship with her husband because they're married now.
Okay.
I've got a great relationship. Even when I've got issues with her, I can somewhat address it with him. And be like, yo, dude, this is what I need. And I've tried reaching out, but I'm not having any luck. Then he'll say, okay, cool, I'll try.
But where did that effort come from? Was it from you as the baby daddy, or was it from the husband?
I think it was both. I think we were both fortunate to be in each other's sort of ecosystem, you know, because I remember when I was down and out, he would be the guy that would call me and be like, yo, uzokhona ukulanda umntwana, or should I drop him off?
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
that in itself meant a lot.
Of course.
Even when it's pickup time, like, because he knew I didn't have a car, I think he kind of like saw my situation with you know.
Brother,
You know, so he'd be like, okay, do you want me to pick him up? To this day, that's why I respect him so much. And that's why even no matter what the mom can't do for my son, it won't be a big train smash. Solely, if she was single, I would have dragged her through the mud. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I would have dragged her through the mud.
Yeah.
But because of my respect for him, I kind of let things be. So back to your question of why we don't want
women with kids.
Yes, it's more that. Because if he was any other kind of person, he could have chosen his wife's side, no matter whether she's wrong or she's right.
Yeah.
And then he could have butted heads with me.
Yeah.
But from where I stand, I feel like he's a very rational guy. And out of men love respect. I love that he respected me.
Yes.
And I want to reciprocate
and recognize that. Yeah.
And I want to reciprocate that to him. So because of him, we've got the relationship that we've got.
Yeah.
Whatever they can't do or won't do, I don't know what the situation is. I kind of let it slide because of my respect for him.
I see.
Yeah.
And while we're still on that topic, about what men want and what they don't want, and sometimes there's a stand-up.
Really?
No. It's such a deep thing. But anyway. I was reading something online, or I was watching a TikTok or whatever, and I came across, I think it was a lady, I can't remember, talking about men being intimidated by powerful women, right? And I wanted to just get into that just for a bit.
Yeah.
What is it about a powerful woman or a woman doing better than you that intimidates you?
It's not intimidation, yeah, telel.
Siyadelela.
Yeah.
Most powerful.
I think, and I know this is gonna. I know this is gonna cause a stir. I know this is
so?
Yeah. I know this is gonna cause a stir. So I'd like to explain why I say that.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find a woman that is in a powerful position, but yet still treats
knows
you
her place.
Exactly, right? And when I say know your place, I'm not saying you're lesser than me.
Yeah.
We're different. We've got different roles. You are who you are emsebenzini. Ekhaya, you're still my wife. You're still my girlfriend.
Yes.
You're still, you understand?
Yeah.
I am the same. Men do the same. Me, now, wherever I go, oh, let me loco in when I step into workspaces. Oh, let me, you know, I get that I don't like using this word, but celebrity treatment.
Yes.
I don't see celebrity in
No.
No, even whatever checks I make, people who are writing my checks sometimes are like, oh, this guy's getting paid this much. Oh,
Yeah, malinga.
you know. Endlini, my wife has just as an equal say. You know, I'm not Lemi Loco the superstar. Endlin, and I think that's what men kind of struggle with. I've got no issue with who you are career-wise. I've got no issue with what you earn and. I've got an issue with what I may perceive as disrespect that comes with it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So because when I'll jail, I'm 17, it means I'll jail with high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because maybe you get your way in certain spaces, it's hard for you to accept that you can't get your way in our relationship. You know, that's what men have an issue with. I don't think we care. You know, we mentioned earlier with whether Seven's a McDonald's or a Cummins or an accountant, we actually don't care. What we do have a problem with is when there's no boundaries of the power you have at work and what we are as a couple, Ekai.
Yeah.
So when that spills over, when that boss version of yourself now spills over into our relationship, that's where we have the problem, you know, because now it's like, okay, you're not talking to your PA, you're not talking to your subordinate, you're still talking to your man. You're still talking to your man. And I'm not saying it in a condescending type of way, which you know, because you're allowed to express yourself in however way you express yourself, but it must always be led with respect and, you know, and a place of love.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna treat me like you're treating your intern M17, then I'm gonna have a problem.
So it's got nothing to do with an ego.
No, it is an ego thing. Don't forget, Tuguti, me reacting that way, and I think that's where we need to understand each other as men and women.
Yeah.
We can't exclude ego because men are driven by egos. Men are driven by pride. You are my pride. You're an extension of my ego and my pride.
Yeah.
That's why I'll be the first one to jump in there. If somebody talks sideways, it's
yes.
because of ego and pride.
Yeah.
You love me because of my ego and pride. So I can't now exclude my ego and my pride because now we're addressing behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My ego and my pride must still be in the room when we address your behavior or your shortfalls. In the same way that now when you're a nurturer or a disciplinarian as a woman, we can't exclude that when you're addressing my behavior.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. I can't now say, what you know, but I'm a man, you know. I must still need to okay, this is my wife or my partner or my girlfriend. Okuza behavior. I can't now be okay, you know. Even if it's sounding like a strict mother.
Yeah.
I have to accept the fact that that's what I love about you because I want that personality trait with my children and I want it with myself.
100%.
So we can't exclude the ego thing when it comes to men and dating powerful women.
Yeah.
Your power is your power at work. It's not your power in our relationship. It's not your power in our bedroom. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Hey, because I don't think that, and like you said, it takes a certain type of woman to know that I've got a certain role at work, or you know, I'm a certain person to the community and the people around me, but not in my relationship, because. As my power velendlini, as phone, you know, women really just want to get home and
there's relationships that work very well. So when we say men don't like powerful, there's men who are dating powerful women,
and that's how they like it,
and they love it because I think to a certain extent it works for them.
Yeah.
But there's also some sort of respect. There's also love. There's also like the woman sees a husband or a boyfriend. They don't see a man that's earning less than her. They don't see a man that's in a lower position than her. They see indoda yakhe.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No matter what.
When it comes to personality and how you say things, that's a different thing. You know, that's a personality issue that needs a different day to be addressed.
To be spoken about,
but if you're treating me like your man, I've got no issue with you being in power. If anything, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
You know,
great stuff.
Guys, men would also love to be stay-at-home husbands. Hey, I'm sure we'd jump at the opportunity. You know?
So speaking about earning, I want us to talk about relationships and finances.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age, since we're talking about modern dating,
Yeah.
women want allowances, Is that something, because I know men are providers, right? And men want to provide,
Yeah.
But there's a certain type of expectation nowadays that a man must give you money, ndoda yakho kosele ukuthi ikubheje, and all of those things. And I think again, I'll speak for my girlies, that especially when you find a woman osebenza kanzima, like you come into my house and now we are born in Limili.
Yeah.
You can't just come here and
India could being like your own place.
my own
outside
place
of
must
me.
meet.
Yeah.
We just met.
Yeah.
And I've got my own place, I've
Yeah.
got my own car. Like corner, like in my rightful way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all that, but I've got my own space, right? And you would meet maybe a guy who just wants to come, not even buy bread. Because you get those kind of guys.
Of course, I'm a
You
hobo.
do,
Yeah.
I'm
a hobo.
yeah, like you're just like, bro, like kantona la endlini ucabanga ukuthi
Yeah.
And even sometimes when maybe a man can't afford to buy you a big screen TV.
Yeah.
I really believe that there's another way that a person can compensate in the house. Like,
No, of course.
You can literally fix the tap that's been leaking for the past
of course.
100
You can
weeks.
cook. You can cook. You can clean. There's nothing wrong with all of that. Like if I'm in a position where I don't have my own place. I'm not making what you're making.
Yeah.
But I can kind of like help our ecosystem. I've got more time on my hands. You're at work.
Just make it.
I'm not going to die if I cook. You know what I mean? I'm not going to die if I help around with cleaning
But
or whatever.
imali yafuneka yazlim.
100%. Hey,
Yeah,
guys. No, it is. I think we also there's this unrealistic world of money does in this world, guys. You know,
and know what? I'll be very personal about this one because I used to be shy about wanting money.
Yeah.
And the reason why I stopped being shy is that I'm a hardworking woman.
Yeah.
I am not going
but
to.
you say hard work.
Yeah.
Usayicelelani uyifunelani imali indoda
why not?
Uyifunelani? No, I'm just asking, like, give me an example. What do you need the money for?
It's just nice to have in
So you just want my money because it's nice to have my money?
No, but remember, also, it's nice when certain things are done by my man.
No, facts.
And it's good for us women, and I really think I'm so proud of the women. Like, women are working. They're working.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we are doing that.
Yeah.
But it's good to have your man take care of things.
100%. I know you guys love that. You guys
love it.
Like,
oh no, we do.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not that I can't, take my car, maybe ngiphukelwe ama-wipe or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's nice when your man does that for you. And
no, okay. So why I'm asking that, right? Because it feels like what I'm getting is that women love having a traditional man. Right? In a sense of Guti, he still prides himself in taking care of you. He still prides himself in not letting you stress about things that he can solve. Like you said, okay, your car's got an issue. No, babe, don't worry, I've got it.
Yeah.
And just give me the car.
Yes,
I'll get it sorted out.
Yes.
Yeah, bo?
Yes.
But then it also speaks to, in you wanting a traditional man, are you ready to be a traditional woman? Because it has to be reciprocated by something. I can't be a traditional man like you want, yet you want your bread butter on both sides. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna have that as a standard to say, most traditional men want a traditional woman. I've got no issue with paying for everything. I've got no issue with not.
Do you think those are conversations we must have?
100%. Also, I must call out the gents as well.
Yeah.
I'd be unfair if I don't call out the gents. Gents are too sassy these days. You know what I mean? They're too sassy. Like, you're too obsessed with how you look and clean Hey, but you know what I mean? When it comes down to the wire, can you be ubabomuzi? Because that's a very heavy title to carry.
It is a heavy
It's not for everyone.
And ubabomuzi akusukuthi ufike endlini uyarasa.
Yeah, it's like like you're saying, you've got your own money, you've got your own place and whatever. But there's a certain aura that comes with a man that my man's home now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like lo mfana ngale cici lakhe lihamba to the shoulder, and not to say there's anything
Thing
wrong, you
no,
know what I
of
mean,
course,
guys?
yeah.
But there's this, I think women are also deprived of, this might be a very loose term to use, but women are very deprived of an alpha male experience. You guys don't get that quite often recently, you know? And guys like myself, which I must admit there's very few of us, like, we love being that person,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
In as much as I'm a jokester on the internet, but Gwami, like, I'm the man of this house,
Yeah.
in every sense of the word. When it comes to provision, protection, also from a respect perspective. You know, one thing I've come to learn growing up is apologizing to my kids if I did something wrong, and to my wife as well. You know, like, if I did something wrong, it doesn't mean Maui Alpha, you are never wrong.
Yeah.
You're more of you're wrong, like, as much as the next person.
And I think with apologies, it must be said at the time, yes?
It has to be said at the time. It has to be said at the time.
Let's say things as
It
we
has
go,
to be
because
said at the
things
time, yeah.
stay with us, and then it hurts.
Yeah.
And then I start resenting you.
Yeah.
When you are going on about your day, and you're quite telling in the
Yeah,
like 3
yeah,
months
yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And
You-
then one day I just pop.
Yeah, bo. Because you don't want to address certain things
Yeah.
as they happen.
Yeah.
But I think we need more alpha males, because I think women are deprived of that, you know. Like I said, there is a certain aura that comes with the man that says, you know what, this is my wife, my family, and I'm in charge of this
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
in charge of protecting and providing for them. I'm in charge of their livelihood.
Yeah.
And if anything, you know, before you get to them, you have to go through me. I think we don't have enough of men showing up like that.
Yeah.
Because to a certain extent, like, we're too sassy, man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and men must just always know, and maybe it's used loosely.
Yeah.
You know, go to funa umuntu akubheje,
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
an allowance,
Yeah.
but we love our men being providers. You know, we love the fact that you know, I can't do it for myself, but
Yeah.
you want to do it for
Yeah.
me. You know, and
Yeah.
I think that like you said, men do love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Men do love showing up for their women, you
Yeah.
know, in more ways than one. And it also makes us, because we also love spoiling our men.
Yeah.
You know, we also love helping where we can.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking, because I really think that conversations in relationships about money needs to be had.
Facts. Conversations about a lot of things. I
Yeah,
think,
we just need to sit down and
Yeah.
discuss things, you know. Tell me where you can help, how I can help,
Yeah.
because so that you don't feel like it's unfair on you.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we hide, you know, cancel culture.
Yeah.
We hide behind that. When it comes to relationships, I'm not talking about more serious issues.
Yeah.
Like your GBVs and,
Yeah.
you know, safety of women and stuff. We're talking relationships here. We hide behind cancel culture and things of that nature instead of having the tough conversations. The tough conversations, like we're saying, you
Yeah.
asked, which, okay, why do men have a problem with powerful women?
Yeah.
I gave you an answer from a man's perspective. We don't have to agree.
Yes.
But we need to have the
Have
tough
a conversation,
conversations.
100%,
You would
yeah.
ask Guti, okay, I brought up of men being sassy and whatever in. We might not agree, but we have to
Have
have
that
the conversation.
conversation.
So we hide behind certain things like cancel culture instead of having the real conversations. And then you expect to have a fruitful relationship.
Oh.
You can't. You can't. If we're gonna sit there and you don't have to like everything that I say. You know, I've learned it in my
have to, so,
relationship
yeah.
that, you know, sometimes I don't like what my wife is saying. I don't agree with it, and vice versa. She might be like, "Hey, lo seka yakula lo." Yeah, bo.
And it's
But
not a fight, yes.
it's not a fight.
just
It's not a
disagreeing.
fight. We're
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yes.
We're disagreeing. I'm seeing where you're coming from. I may not. Sometimes we may not disagree, but we may not agree on something now. But an experience somewhere else of saying, like, you know, Nina was actually right.
Later,
you know?
when you're
Later.
so clearly one and you're now digesting it.
That is life.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have a certain perspective of how relationships should go or what is right and wrong to you, that is your right. You know, you've got right of free will and right to whatever.
However.
It does not necessarily make you right.
Yes.
And it does not necessarily make you wrong. But we have to have the tough conversations because we try to generalize relationships, realizing that relationships are between two different individuals.
100%.
What we may experience as a couple is not what the next person.
And what might work for us might not work for them.
100%. What's our background? What you went through versus what I. We're two complete strangers. The reality of a relationship is two complete strangers trying to build a life together.
Yeah.
We're strangers until we die.
And maybe we need to also let go of the fact that you constantly want to be the same boyfriend that you were to Tembi, to Lerat, or
100%.
Because abantu abafani, you know, and then we grow.
100%.
It's
100%.
important for us
What
to grow.
what I may have gotten away with no Tembi, I might not get away with no Nina.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And what had worked then might not work.
I may be in a relationship. I remember the one time a friend of mine who is female called me out, you know, because of this ambition of always wanting to be a provider. I was in a relationship where I didn't need to be a provider.
Okay.
And that relationship wasn't working out, you know. And she called me out on it, like, dude, like, I think the real issue you have here is the fact that she doesn't need you to be a provider. And that was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
It was a hard pill to swallow. Then I realized, it's okay, I'm using the same template with different women. You know, sometimes you want to be a provider, you enjoy being a provider, but she doesn't need you to be a provider. And you have to learn that about your partner. It's okay. Yes, she might love the gifts and whatever, but she actually doesn't need me to survive. You know what I mean? And some men have difficulty with accepting that because you've always been in positions where your partner needs you. You know, because you're the one with the money and you're the one with, you know, and
that's
vice
how
versa.
you know how to shop for a person.
Yes.
I just need emotional support.
Yeah. I just like, food go and save an money. You know what I mean? Like, we need I know it's one gift once a month, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know. So it's all of that is that we run away from the difficult conversations because everybody just wants to be, they want to protect their PR. You know, like you always want to be seen as the great girlfriend or the great boyfriend, you know, but relationships are different. We have to have the tough conversation. You don't have to like what I say. You don't have to agree with what I say, but at least have a teachable spirit to say, okay, let me try understand where you're coming from, even though I may not agree with it.
I do think that we all need to give ourselves time to learn our person.
Facts. Yeah? You learn. Like I say, when I say we're strangers until we die.
Yes, like we have to, and constantly be honest with yourself as well. That I might not be the woman. I'm actually not going to be the woman you met 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm growing in my own right, you know, and in my own ways.
Facts.
And it's conversations that needs to be had because love languages.
Yeah.
I know it's something that is used like loosely, but it's such a real thing.
It's very real.
Not all of us wants to be loved, maybe ngemali. You know, money sometimes money does not, it's not a thing for all the women in the world. You know, you'll meet maybe someone who comes from a very great background.
Facts.
And just wants you to mnage. Or a woman or just doesn't care about money because it's just fun.
Yeah.
And then you meet a woman that is really into like material things. Definitely nothing wrong. That's their love language. They like it when you buy them a handbag. You know, they like clothes and all of those things. But I think it's very important for us to actually take time in our relationships to learn each other.
Yeah, facts.
You know, and know what this person
We don't
likes.
do that enough.
We don't do that enough because we rush into things. You know, we don't have, we just meet up Gaitunya and then poof. You know, and I don't know if people still court each other these days.
We don't.
Or is yangena nje?
Yangena zobana pambi. Now it's you know, yeah. I think that's also the bigger part of the pandemic when it comes to relationships is.
But okay, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
there.
sure.
Courting and talking stages, same WhatsApp group.
It's on paper it's supposed to be, but we know that in society it's not, because courting is very exclusive.
It is exclusive.
Courting is very exclusive. When I'm courting Nina, Nina expects me to focus on you because you're trying to learn the kind of man that I am.
And we're working towards the same goals.
100%. There'll come a point where we have to make a decision. Are we doing this or are we not? But until then, we're still learning each other. And on paper, that's what a talking stage is. But in society, like I said, it's a get out of jail free card. It's a maras joli. You know, that's what a talking stage is.
And I told you that I'm emotionally.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I understand. Whereas on paper, that's what the talking stage is supposed to be. I'm against, and you don't have to agree with me, but I'm against a talking stage with more than one person. What's the point?
And if it's a talking stage, because like
Facts. Facts. Yeah, because a talking stage,
I can't apply what 2 years.
yeah, there's men that use talking stages to their advantage. Which, okay, how we're on a talking stage, I still get it peachy from this person. I mean, like, what am I not getting from her?
Yeah, I mean, already.
So why do I need to commit more than?
You know, my grandmother, raising us, used to say to us that indo tungainigi yonkinto angakakshadi.
Damn, yeah.
Right. And I guess things are harder now, Lemmy, because we can just move in together.
Facts.
Like next week, we can move in
Facts.
together.
Yeah.
And that takes away, because of the way sikhuliswe ngakhona as women, we can't stay together because ulemi
Facts.
you know,
Yeah.
or I cannot cook because no ulemi hasn't lobolat me or anything like that. It's such a difficult thing because times have changed.
Facts. I was literally about to say that.
Like times have changed so much. At the time.
Yeah.
But I also can't not be what I was taught to be.
Yeah.
Because like because she used to say, yeah, then yokushatelani because already uyamwashela, uyamphekela, you know.
Times were different for them, man, because she's saying this because usahlala ekhaya.
Yes.
She's still under her mom and dad's guardianship, you know.
Apartment,
now we're fighting for our lives.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're moving out a lot earlier in life. We're meeting people more freely than they did.
Yes. And have access to literally anyone.
And everything,
yes.
You know. So it's a discretion thing.
It is a discretion thing.
If you do meet somebody, because in the same sense where they say, no, you can't cook and clean for men,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
why am I expected to give you money?
100%.
So it's a discretion thing, Gucci. If you feel like I'm a worthy enough man to, you know, go that far for, then do it. In as much as Nami will probably be in the same boat to feel like, you know, I want to show up for Nina. If she says, yo, Ish, my rent is due and I'm struggling, then it's not even a question.
And simply because I think that it's very easy to do something for a person you like or love.
Of course.
You don't even, like, it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like
Of
it's
course.
heavy
Yeah.
lifting.
Yeah.
You know, when you like a person, you just find yourself, like, we always make a joke now with my best friend, like, when I like a person, if ufuni papa ngotrexeni, my darling, and
Yo, guys, the first time I experienced that, I didn't believe it, hey?
Is it?
And you experienced them Jolwyn, where
It's a
I
real
came
thing.
home and I don't think what was happening. Maybe it was lockdown times or whatever, but I couldn't get food or whatever. My person woke up papa at 2-3 a.m. in the morning.
There's nothing we can't do for a person that we love.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing.
And you see that was in a dating stage. So what's to say, and in the same breath, because of the kind of relationship we had, it's like it's not heavy, like you're saying, it's not heavy lifting for her. Nami, when I have to show up for her in many other ways, doesn't feel like heavy lifting. I think what we should be doing is learning within ourselves to identify when people are taking advantage of
us. Yes,
because
100%.
somebody can come into a relationship and see that you're that kind of person, but not reciprocate it. So we should learn to identify last thing I use you know, or this guy's half-assing this relationship. That's what we should be focusing on.
And you know that speaking of powerful women, they think that maybe powerful women, because I want to speak about submission, right? And how men these days think that women can't submit because some of and things like that. But we have become so self-aware as women that we don't just submit to any Tom, Dick, and Harry.
And which is a good thing.
100%. Because men, we need umfazi, so we are not doing anything, my brother.
Yeah, we submit manyala.
Angeke.
You know what I mean? So men also need to also understand, Guti, you earn a woman's submission.
And you know, this is a personal experience for me because I call myself boss lady, right? Because I really think I'm a boss in what I do. That's how I see myself.
No, you are.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Hey.
But I've with men in the men I've worked with, and they would say to me, "Yo, njengoba uso endlini, I'm sure when indoda etsela ukuthi uyenzeni." And I say to them, if only you would see me when I'm loved right, I am a little girl to a man. Like, I am just a girl who will do whatever my man requires of me, because that's what we do. Like when you loved right, it's like something just comes off and we are relaxed, right? Because what women are looking for is just a safe space, and not to be what they out there. So this thing of any Tom, Dick, and Harry wanting us to submit is just not a thing.
And I'll tell you what kind of guys always want submission off the bat. It's the guys that bring nothing.
Yes.
They are always the ones that want submission off the bat. The guy that just wants to quickly smash and you know what I mean? And then when they realize, man, this one actually has values and standards, now they take it as disrespect.
Yes. Yes.
But the truth
and a woman with a voice who speaks up for herself.
If you're a man that respects a woman and you've got the good intentions, the purest of intentions, like I'm approaching Unina because I really like her.
Yeah.
Your having a voice might be something new to me, but it's something I will learn.
Yes.
Okay, she's actually very outspoken.
Might be something new to you.
Yeah. It might be new to me, but I won't take it as disrespect off the bat. It might be a bit of okay, what was that?
Yeah.
Because it's
me.
But at the end of the day, it's hard for me to off the bat see it as disrespect. It might be different. It will be like, oh, okay, But if I'm coming with weird energies, I'll always find things like that as disrespect, because then the controllingness in me will come out. No, but I mean, but then you know what I mean? Then men especially, I'll be the first to admit this. We hate being called out on our BS. And when we are being called out on our BS, it's hard for us to take it, especially from a woman, as when we've got ill intentions.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying, if I'm learning you and I'm like, oh, okay, Nina's very...
And if you want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what I'm going to see is, okay, she's very outspoken, this is different, but what I did notice, she's very self-reliant. So maybe this is coming from a place that she's always had to just have her own back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will see the same in me. What you're gonna start seeing is that, oh, this man is actually really soft with me. I don't need to be that's where the submission then comes.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Because I don't think that submission, it must be a conversation, baby. Let's sit down.
Yeah. No, you earn it.
You don't do this. You don't do this, and it's something that just happens.
You earn it, guys. You earn it. You earn it. When I met my my wife, then my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, I didn't think she was stay-at-home wife material.
Yeah.
She was very self-reliant, very, you know what I mean, like really doesn't need anybody to do anything for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I earned myself a housewife, because it's the hard work, it's the respect, it's the learning, it's also showing her that you don't have to worry about the other stuff. You have to earn that.
Yes.
You don't tell a woman to be submissive to you. No. You have to earn her submission.
Lapho vele, you're pushing me away.
Yeah. So if you're gonna come with that energy, bro, you're in the wrong space. You know what I mean?
That is so boring. Let's talk about traumas, therapy, and healing, right? How important is it for us to heal before getting into our next? Because sometimes, angazi if you know the saying, sometimes, because I'm just fun, people are able to get over whoever by getting someone else, right? And sometimes, and I've a lot of people have said this.
Yeah.
I believe in just taking time to just wusa.
Yeah.
Maybe just let me out my system, and just before I jump into Temba.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Why do you think it's important for people to heal?
I think the premise of healing first is, not bringing that energy into a new relationship. That's the whole premise of, just heal first.
Yes.
You don't want to a spillover of you don't want a spillover of that, right? But certain things take long to heal from.
True.
Right?
True.
I'm gonna touch on to something very sensitive, and I hope I don't say the wrong things here, right?
Yeah.
Say, for example, I date a woman who was in an abusive relationship where she was raped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't say in 3 months you must heal and then go into the next relationship.
So deep.
Things like that are probably gonna carry on to the next relationship, no matter how long you take to heal, right?
100%.
So in instances like that, might not be that specifically, but in instances like that, I can't expect you to go heal first, right? Maybe you are still, as much as you've went through something very traumatic, you are still very much for love.
Yes.
Yabo? So then it comes to your point to saying, okay, let's get to know each other, and then I know how to tread
things
around
slow.
you. You know what I mean? I may have to go into the relationship and not expect much sex because of
The
what
sensitivity,
the sensitivity
yes.
around
Yeah,
the
yeah.
act itself.
Yeah.
You know, so it is ideal to heal before you go into a relationship, but certain things, sometimes it's not something that physical. It
Yeah.
might not even be rape. It might just be
Emotional abuse.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you were in a relationship with somebody who was so narcissistic, belittled you so much, you lost all your confidence. You know, how long should I wait for you to heal?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to walk the journey with you.
Me. But then are we saying then, should we then talk about our traumas before we date?
I
So
think,
that you know how to manage me.
yeah, I think it's a good start. You know, it always depends on how comfortable you are
Yeah,
talking about it.
100%.
But I think it's always a good start. I know what to address and what not to address. I know what to touch on, or I know how to approach a certain,
Yes.
you know, maybe
So you can also understand why I'm reacting a certain way.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And also maybe I might have an idea on how to help you through something like that. Maybe I've been through it myself. Maybe I know somebody who has been through that.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got experience with healing from something like that. You
Yeah.
know, where I can share, and then in hopes with that, it'll help you heal from that. But I think it's a good start to say, hey, dude, I remember I told my wife when we started dating, I came from like a very, very shady relationship. Like, it was not shady, but it was very traumatic.
Yeah.
It was very traumatic in the sense that we were so toxic to each other. You know, we were so toxic, but the love was there.
Yeah.
And coming out of that relationship, I've developed so many bad habits that I had to tell my wife, okay, this is how it was in the last relationship. And certain behaviors may stem from that, good or bad.
Yes, good
you know?
or bad.
Good or bad
Yeah.
may stem from what I've experienced there. So, yeah, I think it's ideal to talk about it first.
Everything just screams communication.
Yeah, it really, yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
So the one term that is used in this day and age is red flags,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's used loosely.
Yeah.
You know, do you think we're doing too much with the term red flags, or is a red flag a red flag? And I think that red flags are different for certain people.
Yeah, I think
What it has done, though, sorry to
Yeah,
cut you, is
yeah.
that it has made us just be on the lookout even more now when getting into something with someone. What's your opinion on red flags?
I think essentially, I think it's a good thing to look out for.
I think so too.
What I think is maybe sometimes we overdo it in a sense of a red flag doesn't mean the person to dismiss the person. You know, like you're saying, my red flag could stem from a traumatic experience. Maybe for example, maybe I'm bitchy because I was in a relationship with a hand that liked nothing but money from me. You know. And you might feel like, oh, it's a red flag, I got bitch. But you need to understand.
And now you still...
Yeah. Is it a behavioral problem,
Yeah.
or is it a traumatic experience that I'm now projecting onto you? We need to understand where the red flag stems from.
Yeah.
It's good to look out for red flags because
Are we still calling it a red flag?
it is a red flag. I mean, it is a red flag. A red flag, I think you have to go deeper than just identifying it.
Yes.
You need to
Yes.
understand where it stems from.
Yeah.
If nje, law une red flag yokuthi he doesn't like me going out because he's just really just controlling. I then abuti askis.
I got yeah.
But if you don't like me going out because it was traumatic, lo muntu bojola naye bekakchitela njalo makaphuma in. Then you understand, okay, in this relationship I have to work on reassuring my partner. I have to sort of earn the trust, even though I did nothing to break the trust.
Yes.
But I have to teach you in a relationship, trust is key. You know,
key.
So identifying it, there's nothing wrong with that. Decision making after identifying is what's key.
Oh, that's a lot of work then.
Yeah, it is. It's
a lot of work.
What we also fail to understand, we think relationships are smooth sailing. Ucabanga ukuthi ningashada 60 years, we smooth sailing. You know, we are a broken people, is what we need to understand. you can't
Sonke.
you can't build something smooth sailing from purely being broken. Sometimes you had to do the hard labor in the beginning to earn that.
Yes.
Okay, now we get each
We are
other, we
moving.
understand each other, like, you know what I mean. We disagree, but it's not necessarily a fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's healthy to disagree because it gives us an opportunity to fix and grow. But we expect things to kind of like, when I found the one, it's the one, it's perfect. Hey, Gashuba.
Entebima. Yo.
Hey, Gashuba lapha.
And I wanted to ask about your personal experience.
Yeah.
When did you know that? Yeah, okay. Actually, before we get to that one,
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you see now and you're like, yo, no, I dodged the bullets in this dating thing? Like when you look at the dating streets right now,
Yeah.
because people do say that the dating pool is, I genuinely would not know.
Yeah.
The dating pool is a mess.
Oh, it is.
Like,
it is from what people send me in Q&As. Yo, guys, it's a mess there.
Gushubile,
Yeah.
Do you look at it now and you're like, yo, I dodged the bullet, eh?
Not really. I think it was just as bad prior. It just wasn't out there as much. You know,
It's becoming worse.
It's becoming worse, and we're hearing all sorts of horror stories because social media has made the world smaller. I think the dating pool has always been bad. You know, the extent of it is just getting worse. I think even if I was single today, I probably would have experienced, you know, the same things. Like, listen to Nzagalamanje, we experienced them in our dating period. We've experienced people who came into our lives for their own personal gains.
Yeah.
You know, nothing new is happening now.
I do think though, I do it a lot where you know, on TikTok when someone says men don't, guys, also because my man is not that man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And abantu abafani
Yeah.
as well. So I think the one thing we need to learn in our day and age is just to be careful to not let social media consume us.
Facts.
In terms of thinking that, for example, all men are trash.
Yeah.
You know, all men don't want to commit.
Yeah.
You know, because that takes away from us. Because you find someone really being scared to date right now because
Yeah.
the minute you get online, TikTok, this one is complaining about this one, and it's
Facts.
real things, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you're a lover person, just be careful not to overconsume
Facts.
all of that. You know, when we had COVID,
Yeah.
my mom said we're gonna stop watching the news because every day, but
Every day, yeah, yonke into zofa in
You know,
it's numbers,
it's numbers.
Same with
especially
Umjolo, yeah.
beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
It was 20 people died. It's 38.
Yeah.
Then because you just get scared.
Yeah,
And I
facts.
think it's the same thing with Umjolo. You know what, guys? At the end of the day, umuntu akabhalwanga le ukuthi
Yeah.
ngizokunisa.
Yeah.
Akabhalwanga la.
Yeah.
You know, and you just need to experience things yourself. I truly believe that, hey?
No, 100%. And I love the example you used because it's such a realistic one where we sat in our houses and we saw all these traumatic things happening around the world, and we kind of got paralyzed with fear. You know, that's what happens in relationships. You see all these horror stories, you know, like the men are trash thing. I think on that topic, the men are trash thing, I think it was a cry for accountability, but
I think so too.
it kind of, and you know, some men received it very well, saying, hey guys, we need to do better.
No, we need to do
you know?
better.
Some got defensive, you know, even though they may or may not be a culprit themselves.
Yeah.
But the bottom line of it is that it was a cry for accountability. It was just like how the message was being relayed. I think the same applies to relationships. When people talk about these traumatic things that happen in relationships, and what men do and what men don't do, what women do, what women don't do, it's a certain cry for accountability, right? To say, no, guys, you can't just come into someone's life with the sole purpose of rocking them and not be accountable for it, right? Because I'm still human.
Yes.
You know, you may have not been attached to me, but I was attached to you.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be accountable for what it's traumatic. You scar someone emotionally for life, you know? So we have to be very careful with also what we put out, you know? I feel like even in things that go right in my relationship, I never want to brag about it on social media because other than just opening up a can of worms from people who might not want to see you do well, but it's also a little bit insensitive to people who are still fighting through the rough patch to get to the greener patch, But we have to have conversations with the right people.
It is. It is
one
definitely that.
One thing I've been glad or fortunate to be experiencing right now is I'm meeting a lot of married men, and we're sharing stories, we're sharing
What
how
you're
we make
dealing
our
with,
relationships
work,
work, and the young guys like myself, and like, okay, this is what, we generally have an understanding of what women want and don't want and how we should trade around our women. And I think that's why we're married.
Yeah.
And you have to have the conversations with the right people.
Yes.
I think if you're that person who really takes relationships very seriously, have the conversation with like-minded people.
What I will add on to that is men must just always remember that you will never find the right answer about what women want, but except from women.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Like, because you can sit and do an entire men's conference about
Yeah.
what women want
Yeah.
without actually asking me as your partner, Lenny, to say, what is it that you want?
Yeah. And to be quite fair, we don't even discuss what men want. This is from a married perspective, right?
Okay.
We just kumbaya, dog. We're like, yo, back to this now.
No, back to-
Oh, hey, dog, yeah. We just
Yeah,
there in
wait, now
kumbaya.
yeah.
We kumbaya, bro. Because the one thing you learn I'm not even just gonna make it exclusive to marriage, right?
Yeah.
One thing you learn about being in a really committed relationship, right, is that you have to roll with the punches, right? You have to, as a man, ube umntwana in your relationship. I may be you see a man, a protector and whatever, but there's a certain part of you that sees ifes ponyako. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, he's yabo. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
And I feel like that's the biggest blessing in a relationship. Once your woman starts treating you like that, she's let her guard down completely.
And everyone must stop being able to be. You know what it's is?
Yeah.
You know when you know it
When
all.
you know everything.
Because
Yeah.
But I think that touching a little bit on the men are trash thing is that it's a now thing where we started speaking like that when it started. And only because we women have been feeling like as we are trying with these men, but they don't see, because the way things are set up now, women are scared of men because men have stopped being our safe spaces, right?
Which is very true.
Yeah, women are murdered every day by their partners, Lemmy. You date a man who just hurts you and just turns you into something you were not. And that's why phrases like men are trash come from, because that's where we're trying to find our safety, but that's where we get hurt the most. And these are conversations. I don't know, maybe men are feeling like they need to defend themselves against us because of the standards we have. And then that's why we clash. Because what we want as women is just to come home to a safe space, because the world is already tough out there. We are already dealing with so much as individuals that when you are with a man, especially for us, you'll tell me about that other side. But for us is that we yes, the money is great, of course. I love money. Please just but we really yearn for safe spaces, and places where you can trust and believe that this man is for you. This man wants to support you. This man wants to love you right, because the reality is we also feel a certain way because you guys have a lot of options. You log onto Instagram, you can have any type of woman that you want.
Yeah, because guys, there's more women than men. Hey,
there isn't. I say this all the time. They be like, and men are dying like quicker than men are in jail. So we're also dealing with Lemmy has got so many options, but we really, there's a cry from women that we want to go back to the space where men were our safe space, where men were the people that protected us, provided for us if needs be, and I think that like it's just lost now. I don't know.
That's why it's Sherani, guys.
Angeke. Oh, angeke.
I'm joking. But I think to answer your question, right? To start it from the beginning, the men are trash conversation.
Yeah.
I think the message
when was that again? Like 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years ago it was at its height.
Yeah, it was.
2 years ago it was at its height. I think it's kind of, not that it's dying down, but I think we're kind of, as men, we're understanding the crux of the cry, because it felt very offensive in the beginning.
At the time,
that's why we didn't receive it
and you
very
were so
well.
defensive.
We were very defensive because it was like up,
Yeah,
yes. I've never done this. I've never done
that.
But that wasn't the point. I think that's what we didn't understand. The point is not that we're saying you've all what. We're saying Nina collectively, if besikhuzana thina sisodwa,
100%.
we wouldn't be where we
Yes.
are, yabo, which is a very big problem. Ukuthi there's a certain extent of ukungakhuzani as men, because if besikhuzana, with the first thing, men know that a woman ngeke angenze next, but uqala ucabanga kayi-2 when now men step into the equation and say wenzani manje ndoda,
Yes.
yabo.
Yes.
So I think now we understand that's where men are trash comes from, right? And also in our backlash in saying no, in women also understood okay, but we can't paint everyone with the same brush. You want the ones that understand to relay the message to the ones that don't. So it became more of a conversation as opposed to an attack. And unfortunately, even amongst us men, abanye abalaleli. We can't control every man,
Yes.
But
even if it comes from your father or your mother, which 100%.
That's why ngimele sibuyiseni ukushayana, guys. We must bring back ukushayana. Like I don't think amadoda siyashayana enough. That's why you get some guys talking sideways on the internet and but as much as it sounds like asibuyiseni ukushayana, because even when I remember. In high school, I had a friend who was in a rugby team, and I always used to go support and watch their games, and so much so that I became part of the team.
Yeah.
So what happened is that one day, one of the girlfriends reported to a close friend of boyfriend yakhe, lo muntu uyangishaya, it's like the third time it's happening.
Yeah.
The guy then reported to the team, this is what's going on. Yabo. They then decided, okay, practice, we're going to have a closed practice or whatever, friends and what can come. I was fortunate enough to be part of that.
Yeah.
They were like, we're not going to say anything, we're going to raise the issue and we're going to beat him up. No, really, that's literally what happened. Got there, Bambuza confronted him in such a way that he had to be honest about the situation, right? After he admitted to it, why sutindugu, and then it was like, and the girlfriend was there, by the way. And then the captain of the team told the girlfriend, Uguti, if this ever happens again, let us know. And this will be the procedure moving forward. Did that relationship not shift?
After that?
It did shift. Yeah. They didn't grow up to get married, but they still dated for like a year or two after that.
Long after that.
But my point is, because he was not only accountable to his girlfriend, but to his brothers, because that's how we feel in teams and to the brotherhood. He then had to act right. He had a decision, either let this go or act right. He chose the latter. It started becoming more conversational. He was embarrassed at first. And I remember he didn't spend a lot of time with his girlfriend at the time, because he was embarrassed and a little bit angry, I must admit, because it's embarrassing to get beat up by men, right? But more so, we confronted you about Lamanya Lowa. I think essentially that's what Men Are Trash was trying to achieve, to say men are going to stand up, kuzanani, yabo. I like that in conversation, it's now leading to that, because I'll give you a typical example, maybe not as serious. There was a time I was out with the boys. Wash out 2:00. I don't know what I was doing. I think
now that you're married.
Yeah, now. I'm maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I think we were playing FIFA or whatever, and the one guy was like, "Endota, so good too." Yeah, pela when your curfew yakho amhlobo ma 12. I appreciate that so much because it saved. Because I know my wife is okay with me going out and whatever, but she still doesn't like what man sings of on 4 exen. Yeah, bo. That in itself, because I've raised but I'm like, we're just playing FIFA here, you know what I mean?
Like there's no harm. We're not even harm.
That's how I saw it. I'm like, you can't be mad at me chilling with the boys playing FIFA. For her, it was like, no, to do babo muzi.
And also, Tinapela, we always think about safety.
100%. 100%. So the fact that my boy could remind me and say, hey, dog, I took to to listen to him. Immediately, guys, went home. Caught up us 2 hours back at home, which was an improvement from what my wife was saying. Okay, cool. So I think in conversation, that's what we were supposed to take from the jump as men, to say, no, guys, this is a cry for accountability.
Yes, let's understand and actually understand
and help.
I love that so much. But I think that there is a bit of progress. And I say that because the one thing that we need to know about relationships, you need to work on yourself first.
100%.
And the work within yourself doesn't stop
Yeah.
as well. Because if you're able to show up for yourself,
Yeah.
you're able to show up for us. And I think that, some men these days are, owning up, going to therapy, dealing with their traumas.
That thing,
I
went to therapy. I fifth session, I was like, no, I
I
need a break,
now.
I'll see you next year.
But even just that, because we didn't grow up kuma aromatherapy like, in our time. So I'm glad that men, the portion of men that are doing it, are really intentional about being better, partners, being better men for themselves, better brothers, and also just being better fathers, which I'm seeing a lot. And it's beautiful to see that men are really stepping up to being better fathers. Not for the other ones that are still wandering around.
Yeah, I love that about us right now. Even in a place where you mentioned earlier with men not wanting to be, in a relationship with a woman who's got a child or children or whatever. And, now that you guys know from where we come from, that it's not really a mom thing. It's more...
You don't want to deal
with the guy, I have to applaud the guys who do get into relationships, because those kids who have deadbeat fathers need a father figure. That mom who's a single mother is also deserving of love.
100%.
So even the men that go into relationships and eventually get married to these women, we have to applaud them as well, because you've stepped into this small family's life and changed it in such a big way, because now you then come in and be a leader. You then remind them and reassure them that you are worthy of being loved as a child and as a single mom. So that role in itself is very important, because you really have to understand that from a guy's perspective, yes, we're not entirely right. Like that behavior, I call right to say no, because angik food. I hope that women get to understand.
Especially now.
Yeah, and it's sinjalo, sinjalo. Yeah. Because we never want to see in that specific situation. We never want to see ourselves as the problem, because more often than not, so you could, even if I'm a father, I can still be a bachelor and still
literally
have all the time.
You have a child.
Understand? So we're very unfair in that sense, and that's very unhealthy. But again, when men step up in those roles and they act right and they treat the kids right and they treat them, I find it beautiful to see. There's a content creator guy who's in the same situation, just got married, and it's beautiful to see his vlogs. I mean, you sort of see it with the kids that they're in a bit of a happier environment. You know what I mean? It's a family environment. Mom is married. We see this guy as our father. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful,
and
to see.
We should take a leaf out of that page to say we can't now be unfair and say because who's supposed to marry that woman? Who's supposed to be in a relationship with that woman when you've already given her a child? So
a child or 2 or 3. Lastly, I wanted to ask you, I have so many things to ask you and we need to go. But in conclusion, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I want to choose one last question that I had for you.
Sure.
How can you tell if a person is ready for love or they're just lonely, wanting to push time?
How they make you feel. I think it should always be based on how safe you feel around that person. Don't try to figure the person out.
It must just come naturally.
You must try to understand how comfortable you are in this, because sometimes in relationship imnandi, but there's so much gray area. Like yes, kumnandi, yes, I enjoy their company. So I think we try too hard to figure the next person out, that we overlook like the small things that give you the answer on whether this person is ready or not.
Yeah.
You know, because if we're in a relationship because we're sometimes clouded by certain things. Maybe we're together and I feel like, yo, Nina's the one. All I really like is the sex.
Yeah.
Or we're together, or all I really love is that, yo,
like,
young
it clouds your
pechela.
judgment.
Yeah, you know? But the way he's communicating, it doesn't feel right. Or my messages are responded to a day later. You know, that in itself is a red flag. So if I feel like I've got too many questions than answers about this relationship, that should already tell you, good, something is off. Then you then decide, good, do I figure this out or do I take a step back? You know? So it's more about how you feel if you want to know if this person is ready or not, because you won't know what's in their head.
That's true.
You can never know what's in their head, but their actions will tell you. Will always tell. Okay, are we moving in the right direction here or low? So I think it's more about how you feel, and if it's pouring into, you know, what you make as a relationship and how you want to be treated, and because you can always give 150%, umuntu akunike 20%.
Hey.
That's still a relationship, but is it fruitful?
Yeah. Ooh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
An amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Any last words you'd want to say? To men, to women?
To everyone, man.
Yeah.
I think to everyone, don't be too harsh on yourselves.
Okay.
I think we're a little too harsh on ourselves, career-wise, romantically, and all of that stuff. Just take it one step at a time, you know. I feel love yourself before you start demanding love from other people. And you are worthy of love, man. And
everyone is worthy of love.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
despite your past and who's hurt you,
100%,
who's disappointed you,
100%. And some of you have fumbled your soulmates already. Unfortunately, I know you don't want to hear that, but
that would be so sad.
But you do have there's always a second shot at love.
Yeah.
You know, learn from that experience, and you know, do better for the next person. You know what you did wrong with the last relationship. I mean, umjolo and marriage in itself is such a beautiful thing.
Love it.
It's such a beautiful journey. So, but don't be too harsh on yourself, man, guys.
Lastly, in short, quick one about a type. Do you believe in a type?
No.
You don't believe in a type?
No, I don't believe in, like, physically.
Is that
like type is
is that a Lemmy thing, or do you think it's a man thing holistically?
I think it's a man thing. I think it's a man thing, because a man can date a certain kind of woman, but sort of drool over a different kind, you know. And I think women are the same. I would like to believe, you know. I'm Marnina Vele, child, handsome, what, ooh, must be buff.
We just have preferences as women.
I guess. But you see, this is why I feel like we're more the romantic species, because we give the opportunity to the person and not the package. You know,
So, but you can't tell me that the package doesn't matter at all.
Not that it doesn't matter. It does play a certain role.
It does.
But Untabi saying this time around, next time Ukidiboni, next time Ntombi, you know what I mean? Like it for us, it's more how you make me feel, as opposed to do you tick,
and the respect I give you,
100%, as opposed to, do you tick this box? Are you light skin? Are you tall? Do you work out? Do you if you've got a banging body, you've got a banging body.
Like,
you know what I mean?
That's
like,
a win for you.
That's a win for me, but it's not like a must have. You know, if you are a man like that, then you're very superficial and you know he doesn't have the right intentions. But that's why I would like to believe that women also are kind of like that. You do have a preference, of course, you know, but I feel like if the right man
we
comes,
just want to be safe.
Yeah. You just want to be safe. If I don't tick those other boxes, but this thing is standing out, because this guy is such a great guy,
takes care
then
of
I've got
me.
a chance.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay. That's where we're going to end it for today.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it's basically saying relaxed.
You know what?
We could do this another hour.
I might need to do a part 2. We definitely
I would love a part 2. Yeah.
I think my parting words is just a reminder to men that we just want, like, you guys to be our safe space.
Okay.
You know, And obviously, I think every woman would agree that we just want men to communicate more.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cry that I see a lot on social media. And just remember that we also, as much as we want you guys to be our safe spaces, that's what we'd like to be for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of men know this.
No, we don't. But now we do. Surely after this episode, we do.
Oh, they
I've got
better.
one more parting
Yes.
message.
Of course.
Tshwelang bokesh, guys. Tshwelang bokesh.
Such a youth.
It's not gonna take you anywhere. Tshwelang bokesh, please. That's
What
all.
is another word for
Hey, being promiscuous. You know, you can't live that life and expect to find someone who's gonna, love you.
reminded me of a KO verse.
It's in.
I think it's in Ranjosi. Ntombazana ushishirisa ngendunu phansi and you're hoping for happiness.
Yes. You can't.
My God.
You can't plant bananas and expect apples to grow.
No.
Yeah.
Plant a banana, you get a banana.
Please, guys, fresh, please.
There you have it. I'm sure as in onendleba kezwe.
Yeah.
Abantu abadala basho njalo.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for
I
having
am
me.
sensing a part 2.
Yeah.
In this because it's a one ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
And I think next time we'll just go into the deeper situations or challenges that people face in relationships.
100%, yeah.
So that's where we're going to end it this week, NE Gang. I think we had an amazing conversation, and I hope that you listened through and you picked up some nuggets for yourself. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We love hearing from you. I say this all the time. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.